So now we're going to get into the hierarchy of edges. And you can see here that I've listed several different aspects that I want you to think about in hierarchical fashion. And the first one is spatial. The softening of edges as distance from the viewer increases creates the illusion of spatial distance between them. And so when we're thinking about atmospheric perspective, some of you have studied atmospheric perspective. It's really useful in landscape painting, right? There are two aspects to it. One has to do with the muting of colors as you paint things that go off into the distance, right? But the other has to do with edges. It has to do with creating a sharper focus in the foreground, and then gradually as you move into the middle ground and the background, you lose the focus, and things that recede have a softer edge. I can only think of one example where that kind of reverses, and that's when, you know, painters are painting things at sunrise or sunset when objects are silhouetted. But even so, if you paint that distant horizon with too hard of an edge, even though it might have a lot of value contrast, it'll tend to pop forward and look kind of flat, right? So the spatial aspect of edges is hierarchical. That in general, and of course all these aspects play a part and have a kind of tension with each other. They're kind of like collaborating, if you will, with each other. The spatial dimension helps you take even a small space of a still life where the distance from the front to the back of the still life is only 10 inches. But if you pay attention to the edges as they recede back into that illusory space, you can create a feeling of a vast space, even in a small amount of space. And we're going to play around here with the little still lifes that I've created here in a minute and see if we can manipulate that. So the second aspect is textural. We manipulate edges, maybe not so much in a hierarchical fashion with texture, but we manipulate edges in order to create the illusion of the object's surface. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Does it have a particular kind of texture, like is it fuzzy? Is it fur? Is it feathers? Right? So if you want to create the illusion of fur or feathers, soften, 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 and then soften some more, right? Or hair when you're painting the portrait. Even if someone has a rather severe hairstyle, if you don't soften the edge, especially because it's moving over a curved surface, which we're going to get into it in a minute, it's not going to look like hair,